That intro always gets me going. What is up, Ballsville? What is up, Gauntlet players? This is such a big episode. There's a lot of information to get out to you guys. We're really excited about all the stuff that we have lined up. We'll get to it real soon, but first, we got to go over to our co-host Chris and introduce him and say, how are you doing this lovely evening, and how was your week in fantasy football?
Went pretty well. Still alive in 11 of my 12 Gauntlet leagues. Still haven't been officially eliminated in any other league yet. So all in all, still a good year for me.
That's good to know. We're always watching you. We know that you have a few of these Ballsville leagues, and you're one of our favorites to keep an eye on. So you and Ethan, right? We'll go down here to our new guest. This is Mr. Addison. I always hear Agent Smith from The Matrix when I say that name. His friends call him Addy, which is what we'll do around these parts. Addy, how are you doing, and how was your weekend in fantasy football?
Hey, if I was any better, I'd be twins. I had a fantastic week in fantasy football, even better week in actual football. You can see from the Bears paraphernalia behind me. As a Chicago fan, it was a great week. We got our first snowfall, and we got our third or fourth heart attack victory. Still alive in a couple of eliminators, too, and hyped to be on the show. Thank you guys for having me.
Yeah, absolutely. How about that, Ballsville? Look at that podcast voice right there. Welcome in, Eddie. Or like I say,
why, Mr. Anderson? Why?
Yeah, Mr. Addison. So, the reason we wanted to introduce you to Mr. Addison, and we'll cut right to the chase because we know a lot of you guys are here because we dropped the keywords, mini game, So if you're not here now live with us to participate in the chat, maybe you catch up later. But there's a lot of stuff you're going to want to know. First off, I want to ask you a question we always ask our guests. How long have you been playing fantasy football, and what got you into it?
Yeah. I've been playing fantasy football for about 10 years now. What really got me into it was I was playing the sport a lot, and shockingly enough, there are not very many 5'9", 180-pound defensive tackles in the NFL, so I kind of had to give up on the football dream a little bit earlier. Definitely really started enjoying the data aspect of fantasy football. I'm a spreadsheet nerd first and foremost. So when I started doing modeling and a little bit of data analysis, I really started falling in love with the game and couldn't be happier to have taken the journey I did because I found myself making just about the best friends in the world in this community. The fantasy football community as a whole is just such a great group of people.
Absolutely. Well said. And you know what? It's community that drives us to continue to do this stuff. Playing the games is one thing, but community is what lets us know, hey, we're doing something good over here at Ballsville because our community is filled with the finest degenerates on the planet, I'm convinced. So for the mini game, guys, it's a standalone app. It's a new app. This is the pilot year. The app is called League Champ, and we have a cool little ducky representative of that right here. You're going to want to get that, and when you get that, you're going to want to look for the Ballsville Bash, and that's going to take you to a place where you set your ranks. It's going to be a weekly contest. It's going to be for the rest of the season. It's going to produce a winner. This game is going to be hosted on that League Champ platform by our new friend Addy, but there's nothing I can say that he can't explain a little better. Addy, why don't you go ahead and tell us about what this app is, what it does, and maybe a little bit about how you got into development as a whole.
Yeah, of course. So I've been in engineering my whole life, so going into app development was a natural first step. But what really got me into League Champ was I have seen so many people in the fantasy football community who genuinely want to contribute, who want to put out teams, put out rankings that give people information that they wouldn't get elsewhere. And when I started doing that, I thought about the ways that I could best serve the community in that manner. So I started building out an application to do that. League Champ is a fantasy ranks app that hosts the first ever public ranks competition. I'm sure you've heard of Fantasy Pros ranks competition. we are the first ones that are publicly putting it out there to the community to let people make a name for themselves and judge their accuracy based on heuristic measures that are actually trackable in the fantasy football space. But we've been benchmarking this over week and showing that almost anybody can be a fantasy football expert, but we're offering a lot more with our app as well. We offer ranks projections for the people that want to get into the gambling space, the projection space, consensus ranks to kind of see how the standard deviation on a player works and if that actually correlates to standard deviation and outcomes, news and injury updates, and even a free jersey contest that I am running week over week to the most accurate expert during any given week. So when you're on our app,
Yes,
we will have a fantastic Ballsville contest that is fully sponsored by you guys, and I could not be more happy to have you on the app. But since you're probably going to stick around, please feel free to enter those free weekly jersey contests, because I would love to see more of my friends from the Ballsville community get onto this application and have a good time on there. But quickly, I will tell you how to actually get on there once you're on the site. The first step is making rankings. You can do it manually. A lot of our diehards and degens in the League Champ community do go all the way down to wide receiver 70. I don't personally, but you can. Or you can do it through 10 clicks through our auto-generated express ranks, which allow you to select players that you're interested in, and it finds players with similar athletic and production outcomes and raises them up your ranks to essentially set up your own personalized set of rankings. And then after you have those ranks, all you got to do is go to the contest tab on the bottom navigation and enter the Ballsville Bash rest of season contest. So excited to see you guys there and could not be happier to be a part of this community. Alex is such a nice guy, and I'm thrilled to be in a league with him myself.
Thank you very much. And we wish we would have picked you up during the draft season. You would have been in some of our contests to see how those go. It's a lot of fun, guys. And I know we've had conversations before with people that want to do their ranks, and I've always wondered, how do I get my projections out there against like an expert or something like that? And it seems like your goal is to produce an avenue where the common person like us, who well, I don't know how common we are because we draft all off season, and I always think that gives us an advantage of how these players are going. But we can compete against professionals and kind of gauge our expertise. It's just one more thing to evaluate ourselves, and we love that as fantasy players. So that contest, Addie, we'll after the show, we'll drop that into the Discord. If you guys want to join the Discord, you can hit that little QR code right there, go straight to it. Majority of you are on there. And welcome to the Ballsville game, and we look forward to growing our relationship with you.
Darn tune.
With that said, guys, we are going to jump right into some of what the Gauntlet recap is. We'll breeze through our first few segments. These are our segments that grace the show every week, starting with some of the prime time games. Here we have the Raiders versus the Broncos on Thursday night. You can look at these stats if you want to. I choose to cover my eyes. Bo Nix is the quarterback 6 on the season, but only the quarterback 12 in points per game. His bye week is week 12. RJ Harvey, 6 touches for 18 yards. And now we have Dobbins injured. We'll talk about that tomorrow on the injury report for the soundboard. Cortland Sutton, 3 catches for 24 yards. Broncos defense, they had 7 points allowed, 6 sacks, 1 interception, and a block. We all watched that. And for Las Vegas, Tyler Lockett, 5 of 6 for 44 yards, was their leading receiver. Jack Besh, my guy, 1 target, no catches. And the tight ends, Mayer had 3 catches for 22 yards, and Brock Bowers had 1 catch for 31 yards. We'll go to Addie here. Addie, you watched the game. You got the feel for it. Tell us what you saw and what you thought about it.
Yeah, everyone was talking about the Deontay Thornton breakout, the Jack Besh breakout, and we all should have known Tyler Lockett in his ageless wonder was going to come out and be the leading receiver in this game. I think the biggest news that we can talk about in this one, because G&T had a normal line, 60 and a touchdown is about what you can expect from him, especially against a tougher defense. Honestly, that's closer to a ceiling outcome. The big news in this one is that J.K. Dobbins injury, because
Yes.
J.K. Dobbins has a foot sprain, and that's pretty synonymous to a Liz Frank injury. That's likely a 2 to 6 week time frame that he's going to be looking like. And RJ Harvey has not gotten a proper chance to be a lead back for the Denver Broncos, but he sure as heck got that opportunity in college, and he did a fantastic job with it. It might finally be time for us to see Sean Payton consolidate this offense slightly and give Harvey a chance to actually make some things happen. I think it's going to be good for the entire offense. Dobbins has been great this year, but Harvey does have a high ceiling. And based on the fact that I'm saying it here, we all know that Tyler Bidet is actually going to be the one who ends up getting all the touches.
No, absolutely. That's the way it always goes. Yeah, overall the game was pretty much a slogfest. The one thing that I'll say about Tyler Lockett is that when he got released by the Titans, I believe he had a quote out there that said that he asked to be released and they obliged because he wanted to go somewhere and compete. And I don't think he went to the right place. So here we go into the Sunday night game. We had the Steelers versus the Chargers. We had Kamani Vidal with 26 out of the 27 RB touches for the week. That is workhorse in a nutshell. Quentin Johnson had 10 targets, 5 catches for 42 yards. The Chargers defense, 3 sacks, 2 interceptions, 1 safety, and they kind of put the clamps down. Metcalf, 3 of 7 for 37 yards, not getting it done. Calvin Austin also had 7 targets. He got 2 of those for 14 yards. Not something you can really trust. And the tight end trio divided 3 ways, 5 for 6 and 52 yards. Divided by 3 is unusable. It's going to lose you weeks. It's going to get you chopped in this format. You can't have kind of any of these players. But we're not going to talk about this game too much. We're going to save that for tomorrow with our residential Chargers fan, Sarah. Make sure you tune in for the soundboard. We'll go over here to the Eagles versus Packers Monday night. Another slogfest. Jalen Hurts had 26 attempts. Jordan Love had 36 attempts. A.J. Brown only 13 yards on 2 catches. For the Packers, Wicks had 8 targets. Jacobs 6. Bo Melton 5. Christian Watson 4. Romeo Doubs 4. And other pass catchers 5. Chris, tell us what you think about that and this target distribution.
I think it was the same on both sides. They spread it out pretty good. I mean, defensively, this was a slobber knocker, but the only thing I can think of is, Green Bay gets called for a penalty for a false start on a quarterback sneak, and Philadelphia does it 3 times in the game and can't get a penalty called on them. I swear, and I said this in Discord chat today, I think the league is letting this go so that the narrative will be, if you want to change this, vote it away, because now it's the officiating that's going to screw it up for them. And watch it called tighter as the playoffs get. It'll be called the right way by refs when the playoffs come. But right now, they need.
What's so rough about it is that it's such a minute, like fraction of a second where things can go right or go wrong, and it determines games. So it's frustrating, right? Addie, what do you think about the the Eagles getting away with it?
I couldn't agree with Chris more on this one, actually. I hate the league conspiracy theories, but this one feels so close to home because every other week we are getting a highlight film of 3 Eagles offensive linemen jumping before the ball gets snapped.
On the same snap.
On the same snap. And we saw it last night, that fraction of a second that Green Bay got called for, entirely valid. But it feels so dang unfair when you see the Eagles get away with it over and over again. I wonder what the Eagles' record would be if they got called for that as often as they should.
I was going to say, not only that, but how often would they run the play if they got called for those? You'd see them, have to throw, and we know Hurts doesn't do well when he has to throw more.
Yeah, no, absolutely, because 3rd and 6 is a lot different from 3rd and 1, and that can decide games. So I know it decided the championship game when my daughter was born. Happiest day of my life. Niners lost to the Seahawks. All right, we'll move on from that game. We'll get into the good, the bad, the ugly. We're going to make this real quick. No visuals. We're just going to kind of go to Chris. And Chris, why don't you give us your good for the week and what you saw out there?
My good is the future NFL MVP here, Matthew Stafford. Another
Right.
4 touchdown, 0 interception game, 280 yards. He had 34.9 fantasy points in our Gauntlet leagues. He's 20 touchdowns and 0 interceptions over his last 6 games, over 30 points in fantasy in 5 of the last 6 games. He's QB2 on the year for average. He hasn't had his bye yet, so he looks like he's QB4 in your list, but don't look at that. He's QB2. My bad is Justin Jefferson, 4 catches on 12 targets, putrid 7.7 fantasy points. He's only had one game so far over 20 points fantasy. So we know what he's capable of. It's got to be a quarterback thing, obviously, with who they're throwing out there. He's been bad so far. I mean, he's wide receiver 17, so that's still, but not where you drafted him. You're drafting him top 5 in position. My ugly was the Buffalo Bills. They entered the game as a 9.5 point favorite, lost by 17 to a team that was 2-7. It was a 7-game losing streak for Tua against the Bills. He ended that. Buffalo is now 2-3 in their last 5 games, with 2 of their losses coming against teams under 500. And that's my good, bad, and the ugly.
I love it, man. That Miami victory was such a trip. And Devon A-Chain, man. I mean, I said it at one point. He was my RB2 going into the season. It'd be nice if I had the time to go back and pull that clip and just kind of play it here to prove it. But I did say that at one point, and then I got off of it real quick. It maybe lasted like a week and a half. But it was enough for me to draft a lot of A-Chain, and it was during redraft season. So I have quite a few rosters with A-Chain there. Very fortunate. We'll go to Addy. Why don't you go ahead and give us your breakdown of what you saw this weekend with your good, bad, and ugly?
Yeah, and you can see we didn't coordinate before this because I had Matt Stafford as well as my good guy who's had over 3 passing touchdowns.
That's how good he is.
5 of 6 games. But I'm going to pull an audible here. And I'm a big believer in owning your priors. I don't hate what Fantasy Receipts is doing to actually pull that up. So I'm going to own one of my priors. I was not high enough on Sam Darnold and the Seattle Seahawks this year. Same. They were up 28 points before you even blinked your eyes in that game against the Cardinals. We see this game where Sam Darnold has 10 for 12, 178 yards, a touchdown and an INT, and it looks like a ho-hum game, but they were able to absolutely throttle the Arizona Cardinals in this one, and JSN looked just as good as ever. For once, he actually was below his projected value of 96 receiving yards, which is a rarity for him. That entire offense is humming, and there is not a single player on that team that you can't trust as at least a potential fantasy option. I think even Rashid Shaheed has the potential to make his way into quite a few of our community's lineups here because they are going to find creative ways to get their offense involved. And we, myself included, did not see this coming from Sam Darnold. But that's a good. Yep. Let's break it into the bad. The New York Jets offense without Garrett Wilson was one of the most putrid offenses I have seen in my life. In 14 pass plays, the Jets had 0 net yards in those pass plays until a 42-yard catch by Breece Hall. Having 42 yards as your passing output, no matter who your receiving core is diabolical. And winning the game almost enforces the terrible play calling and the terrible play we're seeing from Justin Fields. I am a Justin Fields truther, first and foremost, and it is breaking my heart to see him in another situation where he's throwing to talent even less good than Equanimous St. Brown back in the Chicago Bears days. So, again, we are really hoping here that A.D. Mitchell is going to make a dent in that offense because without Garrett Wilson, it is ugly. But it's not as ugly as the next thing I'm going to bring up, which is the fact that the Chicago Bears lathered up their hands with lotion, soap, whatever they were doing before that game. They should not be doing, because the Bears had the most PFF charted drops in an NFL game this year with 6. And I got to say, I think that is generous. I saw 8 when I was rewatching the film, but a couple of them were a little bit high. Caleb likes throwing the ball a little bit high there. But there were 2 drop touchdowns, one from Olamide Zaccheaus and another one from DJ Moore. At this point, we need to see Luther Burden get out there and get those snaps that Olamide is getting, because he is not doing anything with them. And the amount of drives that we have had stalled out on an Olamide Zaccheaus bad route, on an Olamide Zaccheaus drop, is absolutely killing me as a Bears fan.
Oh man, I like it. I like it. And you touched on something that's going to come up a little bit later. You're bad, the Jets, without Garrett Wilson, quote unquote. He pulled a big fooled you, and he made his way into some of my lineups and gave you the big goose egg. I think he had like just like a dozen snaps or so, right? Like wasn't even really out there. Yeah, re-aggravated his injury, and now he's gone. So he's a name that's going to appear on a lot of these chopped rosters, which is something we can't wait to get into. But we have one more segment, waiver wire pickups this week. And no, we don't, because there is such chaos on the waiver wire this week with teams getting cut, with rosters getting expanded. It is time, guys, that we get into this gauntlet recap. Coming up first, we talked about this last week. If you go to the ballsvillegame.com, up on the tab, or if you scroll down to look for its own section, you're going to find the gauntlet game. If you go to that gauntlet game, there's numerous documents that are linked there. One of the pages linked is called the game intro. Now, the game intro is how to play the game, everything you need to know. This clip right here is from that intro, talks about a roster expansion that just occurred this morning. So if you're in these leagues, you're getting a +1 to your wide receiver today. You're getting a +1 to your flex position today. You're getting a +3 to your bench. The reason why we're doing that is because we've toned down. We've dropped 2 players down a 10 team. We're going to make it down to 8 team, and then at the end of the guillotine portion, we're going to give you waivers to clear Wednesday after week 12, and then you're going to get 1 full day of free agency to adjust your rosters. It's going to be your last opportunity. Then moves are going to lock. It's going to go into the best ball format. And you're going to enter your playoff bracket. Those playoff brackets will be covered on templates that we will have prepared in every league. They're pinned now. We filled that information out already by this point of the day, so that we can provide it for you when we get to the end of the show here. So it creates chaos, right? We'll let Chris talk about it here. Chris, you're in these leagues. Your roster just expanded to include 5 more spots. You're down to 10 teams. A team just got cut. What are you thinking with the fab that you have left? How are you approaching this stage of the game?
It depends on what my situation is. If I had a team that had a couple of good players, depth positions on my roster already, and they're just sitting there waiting for the opportunity, I'm putting them in my lineup and trying to save some fab for the last 2 weeks of guillotine, and letting others spend as much as possible to stay alive if they don't have that same depth this week. But I'm also in the other position where I don't have that depth, and I know I've got to spend this week to keep going because I don't have that depth in my roster right now. It's hard to manipulate it because everybody's going to be thinking that they got to survive, throw out big numbers. You've got 50 added roster spots throughout the whole league, 10 players, 5 spots, 15 people, or 15 players were dropped, 15 or 16. So what you have left is 34 players that were already on waivers for the last few weeks and the whole season that are going to be picked up. You got to manipulate that fab you got to the best of your ability, because for the next couple weeks you're only picking up you're only picking up the scraps basically. So
Yep.
good luck staying alive.
Exactly. You're picking up just scraps and the last of the two teams that get cut. It's very interesting to see. Very unorthodox. A roster expansion in the middle of the season. It's something that was thought up and I believe we tried it out in the prototype last year and it was pretty cool. People liked it. But you're essentially finishing out a best ball draft with deep rosters. We're talking about backups to the backups. We're talking about the Zacchaeus we were just talking about there. Addie, as somebody who's not inside and you're on the outside and we're explaining this to you, how does it come across and how do you feel about something as unorthodox as a roster expansion after week 10 here?
Well, I absolutely love the game theory aspect of this. Like the fact that you have that ability to be like, okay, I don't have that much fab left, but I want to make sure that I get one of these guys that got chopped from the league. Combining those two aspects really adds a fun avenue to this. And the fact that it's best ball as well is absolutely fantastic because the biggest issue I tend to have with the deeper roster leagues is when I have my bench go off, it hurts just extra bad.
Yes,
when you're just sitting there and Olamide Zacchaeus does have that one blow up game, you're sitting there and you have absolutely ruined your Sunday. The fact that you guys have that best ball aspect coming in with all of these additional components that make you think, keep you engaged, sounds incredibly fun. I hope you guys know you are going to see me in these. I hope the chat is ready to have me in a couple of these leagues because I've been having an okay season. I'm excited to get into these.
Absolutely, and you said something there because we are about the competition here, and I heard it the other day. Somebody said very specifically, the reason why I love Ballsville is because all these players are competitors. We know our players are competitors because we intentionally recruit during the off season when everybody's burnt out and your average player is checked out, there's certain people that are there that are like they still have that urge, they want to play, they're plugged in, they know rookies coming in, and that's our crowd. That's you guys. That's the D-gens of the world that just love the game. So Addie, you seem like you're one of us. You seem like you belong here. Can't wait to have you in some of these games next year. So roster expansion that occurred. Teams have been cut, templates have been updated, and here we are talking about it. Next, we have our point leader section. Now, normally here we would go to the website, which you can do, and go look at the scoreboards and see who the scoring leaders are throughout the game. But for us, all that matters is the people that are on the opposite end of that didn't survive. But we do have one scoring leader. Happens to be the missing host, DJ Ethan. Coming out of Amon Ra, I believe it's Light, and his team name is Amon Ra to remind us. Scored 194 points this week, leads all 24 leagues, and he receives a $25 bonus. We do this again after week 11, after week 12. We have 2 more of those before we get into the best ball playoff bracket. Congratulations to Ethan. Job well done. For the opposite end here, these are the players that got cut. Not just Amon Ra, but all of the Egyptians. Ethan's not here to tell us. We're going to hand it over to Mr. Addison here, and you can go ahead and give us a list of these players.
Yes, I am excited to read some names. GLC 20, you are cut. Jimmy Wojo, cut as well. Chicken Boy 87, you're out. Johnny Legs, you're out. JM Hubs, also out. Brubel, out. Grizzy, get that Grizzy out of here. And Run One, you can take that Run One elsewhere because you're cut.
I said rotten piece. I like it. Going over to the Greeks, Chris, why don't you give us those names?
We got Worlds Are Us. He's out. Dead Man Soul 31. Sorry to see you go in that one. Jojo, our own Jojo, he's out in one. I'm out in one here. Sorry for cussing. Motowaki, you're out in one. I know I've seen you in a few. Lynn JM, same there. More TDs, you're out. And Zubicus, our very own Zubicus, is out as well. We got a lot of Ballsville faves getting cut.
I have little sound effects we never use, so I'm going to use them now. For the Romans, we have Jimmy Wojo. We have Life's a Beach. Tanner, our good friend Tanner. That's Tanner. Tanner didn't set his lineup, and I hope everything's all right, Tanner. You're usually on top of that kind of thing. Connor, C-Bomb 18. Soul Stiller, my own beloved. Sorry, honey. Sarah, our host for tomorrow's show. Cheeky Hobson, our good friend. He's here in chat. Modowski, and myself. Oh, boy. So me and Chris having to read our own names and dig our own graves there. Pretty painful.
We should have switched on these.
We should have in hindsight, yes. That's the Chop teams. It is pretty brutal. I know I'm in 6 left. Chris, how many you got?
11 of 12.
Righteous. So not bad. We got 2 more rounds of this, 2 more weeks of getting cut. So that's going to do it for our presentation there. But before we wrap up with this little screen share section, we're going to show you what we have pinned in your leagues. This is your template. Depending on what league you're in, it will reflect your legion. Right here, we have the Romans. Your names are already in here. Reminder, this is your seeding. So in this instance, Jimmy Wojo was eliminated, brought down here. The order collapses, and Artful Dodger and Chiefs Life move up into that blank space, and the seeding order stays the same. After the guillotine portion, that is going to reflect over here. Light seed 1 will face the 8 seed from the dark realm. At this point, guys, we're going to come into the league. Manager Chop is going to come into your league. He's going to drop the link to the opposite realm so you guys can monitor the competition, because you will have your matchup here, who you're facing, and then you can look in both leagues and see how you're both doing, so that you're not caught off guard when the winner's name is put into the next row. But we are very close to the playoff portion, very close to accumulating payouts. We have one more big one at the end of the guillotine portion. I think it's a $50 prize for the number 1 season points for the last surviving players. So if you're in the 8 survivors, we're going to look at your season points. Whoever has the most points at that point is going to get another $50 payout. And if you're a guy like Ethan, who's just racking it up, I mean, Ethan's got to be like 200 in payouts at least. And then you continue to accumulate those throughout the game, and then you start getting the bigger ticket items deeper into the playoffs. So that's how the game works. Very excited about all the guillotine fun that's going on right now. We'll go back to Addy. As a spectator, again, you're looking at the way this game runs. There's 3 sections of it. Weeks 1 through 8 are redraft, and then we do 4 weeks of guillotine, and then we get into the playoff bracket. How does that appeal to somebody who's just hearing it, for the first couple times?
I really love that it's an abstraction by combining games that are already proven methodologies in this. Like, I've really loved the way that best ball has kind of transformed a lot of the fantasy games that I've seen. Like, I've become a huge best ball player over the past 5 years because it is so fun to have a way to stay engaged with the National Football League during the offseason. The fact that you guys are putting together a methodology where you need to be even more engaged during those doldrums of the season, during those cut weeks, during those bye weeks. I think that's exactly what a lot of fantasy football leagues are missing, because my leagues normally operate with the methodology of last place has an absolutely terrible punishment. And I do love the negative reinforcement methodology, but I got to say, I like what you guys are doing even a little bit more.
So I'm glad you said that. And before I elaborate, because we are a little early, we are at the end of our show, what we had prepared. So before I elaborate on some of the stuff you said, I want to pass it over to Chris. Chris, do you have anything to add on as somebody that's inside of the game, watching it play along? I mean, are you looking forward to anything beyond this point, or do you think we're in the point that you've been waiting for and now is the most exciting time? Tell us what you think.
This is the most nerve-wracking time because you don't know what other people are going to be doing. One misstep will take you out, and you've been building up this whole time to get to where you are. So yeah, the next week or two is going to be very, very stressful. Once we get to best ball, though, it's like let the chips fall where they may, and you're just riding the wave.
Absolutely, well said. You're right. There's a lot of stress going on right now. Okay, guys, so I want to bring up this QR code. This one is to the website. So, Addie, you said something about best ball. You said something about how engaged we are at the league. So, part of the reason why Ballsville was built in the first place was because I personally, 5 years ago, got tired of, the scams, what I call buddy trades, all this unfair practicing, because fantasy football is such a beautiful sport for us to play. It's so fun. You get to meet like-minded individuals like we talk about here. So, not only that, but the involvement into the leagues, the way that we're set up is that we have a collection of 5 games. Right now, we're in a portion where the guillotine is taking precedent, and then we're going to have to input names that will taper off, right? Because we start off this playoff bracket with 18 or 16 names per god, and then that gets cut in half each week. So that work tapers off. Our mini leagues is our way too early best ball. All right, so we do that. We started Super Bowl last year, and we drafted 12-team leagues, pure best ball, before the NFL draft. That's our mini game, our mini leagues. $4 an entry. Last year's winner took home $690. Specifics are on the website. Scan the code. So that's game number 2. Game number 1 is our Dynasty game. We have 2 versions of that. We have the Heroes of Dynasty. We have the Dragons of Dynasty. Each are 16 leagues. My favorite part about them is that they love it. They return most of the time. We do have some orphans from time to time. They don't last long. Our community loves Dynasty. And Best Ball, which is our pride and joy, that's our bread and butter, that goes really well with Dynasty when you want to do a draft. So the mini leagues, that work is done week 14 and 15 at the same time where we start to taper off with the amount of people we have to put in here. Immediately afterwards, after week 15, that game is over. Mini, it's done. We move on to the next best ball, which is our big game, 96 leagues. And that's our post-NFL draft. And that keeps us busy all the way up until we just decide we're done. So 12 divisions, 96 leagues, 8 leagues per division. Last year's winner turned $6.50 into $1,600 in that game. His odds to win were 1 of 10 because it's 10-team leagues, 1 of 8 to beat his division, and then 1 of 12 to beat the other division winners. Great odds, multiplied his money. So Dynasty, mini leagues, the big game number 4 is our redraft. A month or 2 out before the season, that's when we do that. They require a lot of attention. That's where you see a lot of the shady stuff. Luckily, we have Mr. Zubikis, Jeffrey Slinky from Alaska, the last frontier. He's a really good redraft manager, keeps an eye on everything, requires a lot of work. So Ballsville is a formula that nerfs a payout in a league, takes that as a collective, creates bonuses, payouts everywhere else, creates fun for the game, for the players, mini leagues, giveaways, extras like this show, pro accounts, all that stuff. That's our sales pitch. But all that to say, Ballsville isn't going anywhere, right? We've been here 5 years, and we continue to grow. We meet people like you who have a passion for what they do. We meet players like Tennessee Nick, who is a newcomer this year, and this guy's a friend to us. So much going on there. We get to know him as a person. He has specialties that he knows that help us, and we offer the same thing, like you said, our resources to him, to everybody we meet. Very transparent. That's the name of the game. And I'll stop it there. I just wanted to give that whole sales speech and ask you what you thought about it.
I absolutely love that. One from the aspect of a lot of people struggle to get into fantasy football. Like, I know that you guys have a very niche formula that is engaging with a lot of hardcore players, but even at the lower level, like this is my first fantasy football league. The idea about being a part of a larger community that's working towards a larger league payout is something that everybody wants for their leagues because it actually encourages people to keep coming back, to keep trying harder. That's the reason why you see a lot of work leagues or ones with just like an IM baseball team fold so frequently. It's because you don't have that buy-in from your actual commissioners, from your admin staff, and that really seems like what you guys are fostering. Like, the biggest thing that I think I can say as a positive about your product without even using it is every single person in your Discord seems active, seems wanting to be there. When I talked about getting people onto my app, the first thing I got was feedback. That's not really what you get from most people in a fantasy football Discord. Most of what you get is Jacoby Myers or Parker Washington. And the fact that you guys have that continuous dialogue, that continuous engagement is just so dang encouraging.
Absolutely. I appreciate you saying that. And nobody's more involved and better at directing traffic as our own Chris here. Chris, you're a staple of the community. We love you around these parts. You know, I know we joke like you know, you're a loner at heart or whatever, but you do have friends. Sorry to tell you. We're going to go ahead and start wrapping up here, but I want to give the mic to Chris and get your last thoughts before we get up out of here.
I just wanted to add what makes Ballsville different, besides the amount of how big the community is here, the offering of new and different ideas for leagues, implementing them, and then giving everybody an opportunity to play something that they've never played before because you're just seeing it for the first time here. And on top of that, Addy, we also have a DFS game that's a season long. We do that as well, and that's just starting out this year. So that'll be getting bigger as we go through the years too. So yeah, if you want to play something and have a community behind you and with you, this is only growing. We're in it for the long haul.
And
well,
you reminded me of something.
Cut you off here. Oh, Alex, you go first, please.
Well, he just reminded me. Well, after you say what you want to say here, go ahead and speak a little bit about your aspirations with Devi, because we have our Devi guy in the chat right now. So go ahead.
Oh, no kidding. Well, one thing that we really want to do with Devi is find a way to gamify the aspect of Devi. Saw a lot of cool things from Keep Trade Cut when I was first doing market research on how a Devi league could actually work in vitro. But the biggest thing that's holding people back is actually the platforms and the ability to run your league. So we at League Champ really want to enable more public-facing Devi ranks, more valuation of those Devi picks, and also tools that will actually help that. But the one thing I was going to go in after that was, with the community here and with all the unique games that you guys have, just know, as a resource, I genuinely am open to adjusting the plans on League Champ as well to accommodate more of these games, because the only thing that I want to do with a fantasy football company is create more fun ways to play fantasy football. And it seems like you guys have a bunch of people that want to do that. So just know I am an open resource here. So if you ever have an idea about fantasy football and you want someone to help you build it, hey, please hit me up. I'm in the Discord. I'm the silly little duck logo.
Yeah, this guy right here. So one thing we're going to do tonight, Addy, you'll go ahead and drop the link to the contest, well, to the app, to the download, and then they can find the Ballsville Bash on the platform. It's not hard to find, and then they can participate. But that link will come to you in the Discord. We'll get you situated there. Go ahead and pause the video and scan that little QR code if you need to, but most of you are there. Before we get out of here, I just want to say thank you again to everybody that joined. I want to give a shout out to our friend Armin. He's the creator of FanCred. He's actually his platform and his promotional game is how I met Mr. Addison. Hold on one more time, because when am I going to use this?
Why, Mr. Anderson? Why?
Mr. Addison. Okay, so shout out to Armin. Tip of the cap to all of our managers. We have beautiful community, like we keep preaching. So if you haven't checked out the website, check that out. Check out the Discord. Be aware of the contest. Addie, any last words before we get out of here?
Yeah. Why not? I'll give my normal end speech to all of this. I am Addy the Nard Dog Narder. You can find me every Thursday on the Two Guys One Pod podcast with Chev JC on the FFD radio channel. And you can find me at Duck League Champ on all the social medias. And please download the League Champ app and let me know your thoughts. I'm excited to see you guys on there. I'm scared for our community because I think you got some sharps here.
Yeah, awesome. I look forward to some of the collaborations and the blending of our communities. And we love competition, so you guys seem like a group that knows what you're doing. And cheers to 2026. It's going to be huge. Chris, let's get your thoughts before we get out of here.
The only thing I was just thinking about is you wanted the Bears to win, obviously. That's your team. I bet you want the Giants to win this week.
Oh, we very much do. Not sure I like your odds without Dart, though.
Yeah. It's going to be tough.
Oh, man. I know. The Giants can't afford to keep losing a player a week, man. This is getting outrageous. All right, guys. So that said, excellent show. The Gauntlet recap is I like this show because it's a little bit more raw and reactive. If you're here from the leagues, there was a little message there. We have a couple roadblocks, but we're still cruising along. We choose to focus on the positive and move forward. Thank you to everybody here tonight and to everybody that catches this show later. We're here for any questions. Make sure you tune in tomorrow for the FF Soundboard with Sarah, Chris, and I. It's going to be a lot of fun. So for Addie, Chris, and myself, that's a wrap. We'll see you.